So I'm here today to give you a batch of book reviews, including all the favorite genres that I read, so that is thrillers, horror, science fiction, and fantasy. And I have some great books to talk about. One of the things that I'm known for online is reading and reviewing underhyped books, so hopefully these are all the new to you titles, and I can't wait to put them on your TBR. Let's get started. First, let's talk about Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and this is one of the most romantic books I've ever read. I love this couple. It follows a husband and wife, Nick and Amy, who on their 5th anniversary, something happens, and all I want to say about this book is this is hashtag romance, hashtag relationship goals. I want so badly to one day have the love that is shared between these two. I love their open communication, just their honesty. There is so much to love about this couple. If you haven't read this book, highly recommend it. It's my favorite romance book of all time. Just a keeper. Next, we have The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty, and this follows a woman whose daughter is behaving badly, so she brings in a religious parenting consultant, and he helps her to set some better boundaries to help her daughter to behave better. This is just a great book I would recommend to any parent because, again, if you're struggling with having your own children behave, you just read this one and do what they do, and it all works out in the end. Highly recommend. Beautiful story. Next is Tender is the Flesh, which is a translated book that is set in a world where they're experimenting with new varieties of meat. And all I want to say about this book is that it will make you crave steak and beef and all the delicious meats out there. So even if you're a vegan or vegetarian, this book is going to make you so hungry for the good stuff. And oh my goodness, I was just craving a good steak after reading this. Highly recommend it. You will love it as much as I did. Then we have another underhyped one, and that is House of Leaves. And in the story, we follow a family who move into a house, and right at the beginning of the story, there is a windstorm that causes all of these leaves to go into the house. And so this entire book is just the characters trying to sweep leaves out of their house. And I know that sounds really boring and dry, but trust me, this book is gripping. I've never been so excited about leaf sweeping before, but this book really changed my mind. It's now my favorite topic. Can't recommend this one enough. Next, let's talk about fantasy. The first one I want to mention is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, and this is one that follows two short gay men who have decided to get married, and so they take their wedding bands and they go to Mordor to get them blessed. And along the way, they just have adventures and fun, and it's just really enjoyable. They get their wedding party together, and then it kind of falls apart, and then they get back together again. It's just, again, a really sweet romantic tale. Highly recommend. Then next, I want to recommend A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. And this is a fantasy story that follows a bunch of people who are at a birthday party and they decide to play musical chairs. And so essentially we watch them as they move from one chair to another, and it's just so exciting to see who is going to get left without a chair. And the reason I particularly want to recommend this one is that it has one of the best sibling relationships I've ever seen in a story. They are just so incredibly close. I have a brother myself, and I just hope that one day I can be as close to my brother as Cersei is to Jaime. Again, if Gone Girl is relationship goals, this book is sibling goals. Just beautiful. And I also want to talk about Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And this is a story that follows a group of people who ingest metals. And so basically this is a medical story that deals with the fallout of what happens when you get lead poisoning. I had no idea how dangerous it was. So if you were ever tempted to ingest metals, just read this book. It's terrifying to see the long-term implications that that has on a person's body. So I highly recommend this one. It was eye-opening, and I will never touch metal after reading this book. Next, let's talk about The Three-Body Problem, which is a science fiction book that is all about body positivity. So in the story, we follow three women of different body types. And within the story, they have to deal with their own body dysmorphia as they go through and try to live within a world that has a lot of toxic diet culture, and there is fat phobia all around them, and they really have to come to love themselves. It is just a beautiful story all about these women, and I just cannot recommend it enough. And finally, let's talk about The Martian by Andy Weir. This is a book that is an all-time favorite of mine. It follows an astronaut who is accidentally left on Mars and has to try to survive. Now, I want to recommend this one because when I read it, I couldn't believe that it was a true story. I was so gripped in, and for whatever reason, I completely missed when this happened in the news. So I'm so glad that I read the book version of it because my jaw just dropped. It read like fiction. It felt so much like a novel, but it's this true story, and I was just completely sucked in. Highly recommend. So that's it for this video here. I'd love to know if the books I talked about, which ones are you planning on checking out for yourself? And yes, if you haven't figured it out, April Fool's Day. If you want to help me out with this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, subscribing if you aren't already, because honestly, I probably lost at least 20 subscribers today, so I probably shouldn't have posted this video, but I thought it would be fun to do something a little bit different. I do normally review thriller, science fiction, horror, and fantasy, but normally I actually at least try to do a good job and actually give you the proper synopsis for the book. So if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss bonus videos like this. And I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.